Welcome back to the 888 MF YouTube channel. Today we're in my Cayman GT4. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know that I had a McLaren 12C last year, and I used that as my daily, and I sold it back in July, and then unfortunately a few weeks later the Challenge Stradale was involved in a major accident and written off. Not my fault, of course. So I spent a lot of time looking through piston heads, wondering what I should buy next, and I wanted to buy a McLaren again, but I wanted to wait for the new model, the 720S, to come out. In November, I watched lots of YouTube videos of the Porsche Cayman GT4, and there was one by Motor Trend who raved about the car, and I contacted a few owners and they said, you know, they prefer their GT4 to their 488 GTB, for example, and I wanted to see what it was all about. So I found one in jet black with all the top specs. So this one has the very firm 918 style carbon back seats, which are non-adjustable, and I have the carbon interior and the Porsche ceramic brakes, the PCCB, and I have the black satin finish on the alloys. So I think the car looks absolutely amazing with this spec. What I thought was interesting about the GT4 is that they put a 911 engine into the car, which really gives it the power it always wanted and deserved from that chassis. And now I think it's interesting because a lot of 911 owners either own GT4s or have even sold their 911s to buy GT4s. So I thought it would be really interesting to invite along another GT4 owner and maybe discuss how this compares to the 911, whether it's better, whether you can compare it, and which one, you know, you could use daily. I'm with my friend Chris, who has this lovely racing yellow GT4, and we parked it up against my jet black GT4. So Chris is very lucky enough to have a GT4 and a GT3 RS 991, which him and his dad use, and they regularly track both cars? Both cars?
Yeah, both. More the GT4, but RS a couple of times as well.
So I've noticed your GT4 sounds a lot louder than mine.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think that's probably the track time. Yeah, no, it's had a good few thrashings around Brands Hatch.
So we've done quite a lot of filming today, and every time Chris has driven past me, my ears start tingling. So I think these cars probably get a lot louder as you're taking them out onto the track and using them a lot, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. When I went to Brands Hatch for a track day, someone came off in their Aventador before we even started the day on the first corner of Brands Hatch.
Big drop.
So very similar specs on these cars.
Yeah.
So how much was yours new?
I think it was around the mid-80s spec.
Mid-80s. So mine was 85,000 new. So what's interesting is I've got GT3 RS, the 4 litre, and Chris and his dad have the 991. So how do you think it compares? Because I've been raving about this car.
Yeah.
How do you think it compares to a GT3 RS?
Yeah, so we love the GT4 as well. So the RS is very different in a lot of ways. In a weird kind of way, the GT4 is actually a little bit more hardcore in terms of driving on the road, the ride, how firm it is. The GT4 is actually a lot firmer.
I don't think you should actually be calling it a Cayman, right? Because it's not really a Cayman.
Exactly. You forget it's a Cayman.
I think the misconception is that this is a hardcore Cayman. I actually think it should just be called a GT4 because it's completely different to the lesser models of the Cayman range, right? I've driven a Cayman GTS, and it was nowhere near as exciting or as hardcore as this, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, whereas the RS is an absolute monster, very fast, over 500 brake horsepower. In terms of the real driving soul and the feel, you've got to go a long way to beat.
But can you use the GT3 RS power on the road? Like, really, can you get anything out of that engine on the road?
Not to its limit.
And this one is really usable, right?
Yeah.
We've been driving around today filming, and you know, we've been obviously not breaking the speed limit, but we've been, you know, driving spiritedly. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. And you really get a lot out of the engine, and you really can rev the engine right up to the, what is it, 7,500, 8,000 revs.
Yeah.
And you feel the whole engine, right? It's a very exciting car to drive. But it's funny because I've got quite a few friends who have 911s and GT4s. One of my friends bought a GT4, and he used to have a 911, and he prefers the GT4.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because it's a mid-engine layout, or because it sounds better, it's more involving?
I think the GT4 does what it does spot on.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be an RS, it's not trying to be anything it isn't. It's a rear-wheel drive sports car with 400 odd brake horsepower, and it just absolutely nails doing that. Manual box, all about the driving experience, the feel of the car. I think you've got to go a long way to better it.
So for me, what are the downsides? For me, the downsides are the manual box has a bit, the gearing is a bit too long. You know, first gear, second gear, and for me, having a manual box means I can't really use it daily, because it really gets on my nerves driving around London with a manual box. The racing seats I find a little bit too hard. You've got the bucket seats, I've got the 918 style seats. I don't know if they're any different. We can try, but the seats are a little bit hard for me. I have a bad back anyway, but I still think they're a bit firm.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think they're firm seats. Even with the buckets, which aren't the 918 Spider seats, it's still very firm. They're still fixed back bucket seats. I think the ride in the GT4 is pretty firm. I think it's firmer than people expect it to be.
What are your negative points about this car? Are there any?
I'm not sure I've got many, to be honest, if any. I love it a bit. Done quite a lot of miles in it since I've got it. It's at home on track, it's at home on the road, it sounds brilliant.
So an interesting question for you. If they brought out a PDK version of the GT4, would you prefer that to the manual box?
No. Manual.
So you wouldn't like a PDK to drive daily?
I think PDK is, for full out performance, is brilliant, because it's always going to shift quicker than the person's going to. But this car for us is all about the experience, and for that, for us, the manual box.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe, thumbs up if you like the video, and let us know what you want to see in the next video.